I'm Kent with VictorEric Design+Build. Welcome to the Multiplex Shaping Vancouver series, where we invite industry experts to share their perspective and tips on multiplexes and the gentle density initiative. Today, we're talking to Jacky Kuk. I really hope you like it. Today, I'm here with Jacky Kuk, financial planner and founder of 1 Degree Planning. Jacky, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, this is Jacky, financial planner based in Vancouver, working with clients in BC and Ontario.
Awesome. Well, I'm really interested to know how you got into financial planning. Do you mind telling me a little bit about how you got into the industry?
Yeah, so it's actually funny because I was a naive student in university. I was actually roped into very shady insurance sales because I just wanted a summer job and I was handing out resume and this company was like, oh, I'll give you an interview. Oh, great. And then it's like, oh, you're hired. Well, that's easy. And then just realized, everyone's hired actually by this company. And there was like no salary. It was a commission job. I didn't even know what commission was at that time. I was like, okay, I guess that's another word for salary, I'm guessing. But I realized you don't get paid unless you sell insurances. I quickly got out of that. That wasn't, I didn't think it was ethical. But then from there, I thought, wow, I didn't like what they were doing. There is probably some value in this industry because I did, once I studied more about the product and the concept of financial planning, I realized this is probably something I like to explore more, just not in that direction.
So you went from insurance and then got into financial planning.
Yeah.
And now you actually teach financial planning through your YouTube channel. So I'm really curious about that. You're educating folks who are probably new to financial planning.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that journey? Like, how did you start with your YouTube channel and take it up to where you are now?
Yeah, YouTube, I think my start is probably like every single YouTuber that started in 2020 is because of COVID.
Right.
So COVID locked in. I used to do like offline seminars to clients and their friends, and I had like a whole year prepped of topics, and then I was very excited to start doing them. COVID hits, lockdown, and then my wife was like, "Why don't you just put it online?" Because when I worked like for a year in Hong Kong, and during those time I was managing someone's YouTube account, so I kind of knew how to do YouTube videos, and I was thinking, what, I had nothing to do anyway. I'm not gonna let the topics go to waste.
Okay.
So I started putting videos online and then got more and more traction. And then here we are today.
Awesome. So it was actually a big pivot for you in your.
It's quite big, yeah.
And you're talking about some topics. What are the most popular topics you're talking about now on your channel?
Yeah, it's usually real estate. Real estate really gets a lot of people interested because they get very passionate about whether they think prices will go up or down. Yeah.
It is a really interesting topic, and you've helped some of your clients with developments, I think. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my role as a financial planner, like I don't jump into the process per se, but I'm more kind of like a quarterback because I do a plan that kind of targets all their goals, and building a home is just one of them.
Okay.
So I would usually be in the background and get updates from them, but then throughout the process, I would watch over their all financial picture. So if sometimes people start to stray off our original plan, they go way over budget or something like that, then I would usually ring them in, or I'll remind them like, we could build a home that's twice the budget you set out for, but it would mean that your other goals will get compromised. And then my job is just to let them know what would happen, and it's for them to decide how they want to proceed.
Okay, that makes sense, and obviously a really good tip for people. Can you talk a little bit about these tips that you might have for people in their real estate portfolio?
Yeah, so I think number one is for anyone building, right? You have to work with a firm like VictorEric, for example, who has a lot of experience in not just building but actually managing the projects and budgeting, and keep a good firm give you update constantly to let you know where they are, how much they're spending, how much things are costing. You need someone like that. So I've worked with clients where they don't have someone like that. It's very rarely they will get any update, and then when they do, it's always like, oh, we used up all the budget already. There's still like 35% of the house undone. You have to come up with another 150K or 250K, right? That it's very, very stressful for client. And I mean, by then you kind of have to, because you're not going to leave the basement unfinished. So you have to work with a firm that knows what they're doing, number one, but also knows how to keep track of the project, right? So that's number one, right, for the budgeting. Other tips are things like a lot of people don't know that if you are you have a home that you live inside, that's your principal home, and then you move out maybe to rent somewhere else, and you turn this home into a rental. As long as you do not own another principal home that you live in for the next 4 years, you can actually file something called Section 45-2, which keeps this now rental property that you used to live in as a principal residence for 4 more years. Right, so maybe in fourth year you decided, I'm going to sell this property. You actually don't have to pay capital gain tax on it for those 4 years, as long as you do not own a home and also live inside for that 4 years. Right? The same goes for another tip. It's very similar. Is if you ever own a home, but then for some reason you sold it or you rent it out to someone else, and then you move. Either you rent yourself, you live with your parents or whatever, as long as you do not live in another home that you own for the next 4 years, you're now a first-time home buyer again. So with the new FHSA, with the new much bigger RSP home buyer plan, you can start using them again. So it could potentially give you a really big tax advantage.
And that's super important, because we've talked to a lot of clients here, especially recently, and they're more on the development side. They're thinking about the future of their development, what they're going to do with it, sell units, especially in terms of multiplex, because you end up with multiple units, and they're thinking about capital gains. So that's been on a lot of people's minds lately. There's been changes at the federal level in terms of tax. So people are trying to strategize. So that's really good. And I'm curious, in terms of multiplex, do you have any tips for anybody who's thinking of specifically developing a multiplex?
So first one is Multigeneration renovation tax credit. So this is for people that are, if you're rebuilding a huge renovation for your parents, elderly, or someone with disability, you can claim up to $50,000 of qualified renovation as tax credit, which will give you about $7,500 in tax saving. So if you're building maybe 3 extra units for and they all qualify, that's maybe another $21,000-$22,000 of tax you don't have to pay. That's super helpful. The other one is regarding you were saying building, maybe now you used to own one land, but you want to maybe own by 3-4 people because they're family members, they want to each claim a unit or something like this. Then you could actually roll your ownership of your property into a partnership on a tax deferred basis. That's called Section 97. Right? It's because if you don't do this and you just kind of move your land into a partnership directly, it's deemed as sold at that point. And if there is ever capital gain, because you might have rented, it might have been a rental for some time, you will have to pay capital gain on it, right? Which is not advisable because you're still living in that property. So if you do a Section 97, you can actually roll into your partnership without paying tax. There are quite a bit of criteria you do have to fit for this to work. Two being that number one, you have to become one of the partner in this partnership right away. And second of all is all partners have to be Canadian residents at that time. So it's best you talk with a CPA, that not just any CPA, but a CPA that actually knows about partnership in detail to make sure you don't get dinged by CRA.
So I'm really curious about that. So this partnership is technically a business partnership?
So exactly. So the partnership is for when you and other people want to come together, but you're not running as a corporation. You're just kind of partnering up basically to work on a project. That's when you form a partnership. But the downside with partnership is sometimes it's actually can be even more complicated than having a corporation, because it has its own specific set of rules that are often confusing for normal people. So this is why I highly recommend, if you're gonna form a partnership to do this, get a CPA on board, get a firm like VictorEric that knows what they're doing with the budgeting and building. You want to form a really good team, so then you know all the criteria and you don't ever do something that will put you offside, basically.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be offside. So a good build team or planner to go through the development. A lawyer, I guess, to iron out all the details of your partnership, and a CPA to understand the financial side.
And a mortgage broker. You want a good mortgage broker because you would have construction loan, and then it would later convert into a traditional mortgage.
Okay. I'm curious, are there any real estate trends that are on your mind right now?
I think the biggest trend is number one, it's multiplex. Because with the new bylaws in Vancouver, places like Burnaby is really starting to ramp up with multiplex. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But it's sort of like a first mover advantage where the first group of people that gets to do it is probably going to find themselves the most profitable, or with probably the biggest, I guess, range of freedoms, right? So I think if you are eyeing multiplex, you're thinking about it, you probably should start some sort of consultation and planning as soon as possible, and just to make sure you're ready to get going. Because I think when other people starts to catch on to this idea, you're gonna find yourself very difficult to hire laborers to do the work for you, and it will start becoming very, very expensive.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The early mover advantage is real, and we've seen that with our own clients. People, they have land, they've been wondering what they can do with it for a while, and now they've heard about multiplex, so a lot of folks have been coming to us and looking at the performance that we've seen, walking clients through the feasibility of these projects. They're very profitable, but I mean, where there's profit comes competition, and over time land prices and things will reflect that. So
labor cost, material cost, I think is the biggest thing. When, like, imagine if there's only so much labor, so much material that goes around. So if all the first mover have started doing it, and remember, like multiplex, you're turning 1 into 4, so it's like 4x the labor, 4x the material. It's very quickly everyone will be working on these projects, and it's very, very difficult to find the next person that's willing to do it at a reasonable price. Kind of like COVID, right? We saw that what happened, like what went up like 300%, 400%, and then now your 500K home that you're gonna build is now 1.5 mil, and it's just not feasible anymore.
Yeah, that was truly the reality of it. And I guess on the supply side is once there's a lot of these things built, there'll be a lot more on the market. People have a lot more choice, which multiplex they want to live in. So that's a really interesting point. Are there any other general tips you'd like to share about finance or real estate?
I think it's really to understand the process. Again, this is why VictorEric firms like this and a good mortgage broker is very, very essential, because sometimes when I work with clients, I find that they are in for a surprise at different points of the building. Like I said, number one is maybe a firm that doesn't help them keep budgeting tracking them. They have a surprise there. But others, for example, when their house completes, they have a construction mortgage, and they might have other ideas once it completes and turn into a traditional mortgage. They might want to pay some off. They might want to structure it slightly differently, just because, for example, interest rate is different now. They find themselves often very restricted because when they sign on to a construction loan, they didn't know there's a lot of fine prints that prevent them from doing too much to it. So I would say if you're in the building space, make sure you read all the fine prints, work with a good team, so you don't get hit with surprises.
Jacky, it's so good to have you here. Thank you so much. Your thoughts are invaluable. Excellent ideas, and I'm sure that's really going to help folks get started on their multiplex journey. Where can people find you if they're looking for financial input from someone like you?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. If you just search my full name, Jacky Kuk, you can find me. You can also reach me through usually people reach me through Facebook messages, or they send me email at jacky.teachers.finance@gmail.com. That's my YouTube email. They often come in with questions. I also have a private Facebook group on Facebook called Get Smarter with Money. So if you join the private Facebook group, then you can go in there and ask any questions you want. I often have other members who are in other fields like mortgage broker, realtors, lawyers that are very, very knowledgeable that can help answer questions as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for being here, Jacky.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed that interview with Jacky Kuk as much as I did. And if you're looking to contact him, his information is in the description below. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel for more tips just like that. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to do that too, because we'll be having a lot more experts just like Jacky on to share their viewpoints on multiplexes in our Multiplex Shaping Vancouver series. We are VictorEric Design and Build, and we create amazing spaces.